So, you've got this killer idea for an AI app, right? But then comes the big question. How in the world do you actually build it? Well, today, we're going to demystify that entire journey. We'll show you how to get from that light bulb moment all the way to a real working application using the incredible tools inside Microsoft Azure. So, let's open up the toolbox.
Look, we've all been there. You see the massive potential of AI, but the path from your great idea to actual working code feels, well, it feels like a total maze. The good news? It really doesn't have to be that complicated. We're going to give you the map, a step-by-step guide to show you the clear, structured path that Azure gives you.
The best way to think about Azure AI is like it's your ultimate builder's toolkit. It's just packed with all these specialized tools for every single part of the job. And, any good builder knows you've got to understand your tools before you can create something amazing. So let's open up the box and take a look at the 5 core services you'll be working with.
First up, we have Azure Cognitive Services. Now, these are basically the prefabricated parts for your project. Let's say you need your app to understand the sentiment of a customer review, or recognize a face in a photo, or even transcribe audio into text. You don't have to build any of that from scratch, nope. You just make a simple API call. It's kind of like ordering a part from a catalog, and bam! That powerful feature is instantly part of your app.
Next in the toolkit is the Azure OpenAI service. This is your creative engine. This is where you get your hands on those groundbreaking models like GPT-4 to write amazing marketing copy, or Codex to write code snippets for you, or even DALL-E to just dream up brand new images from a simple sentence. This service is all about creation. Okay, but what if your app needs to dig through mountains of your company's documents, databases, you name it? That's exactly where Azure AI Search comes in. And listen, this is not your average keyword search. This is a super-powered engine that actually understands intent. So if a user searches for something like project costs, it's smart enough to look for budget reports and expense sheets, not just files with that exact phrase. It's a game changer for building internal search or customer knowledge bases.
Need to add a conversation to your app? Well, the Azure AI Bot Service is your go-to tool for that. It is designed from the ground up for one thing: building, testing, and launching smart chatbots. Whether that's a 24/7 customer service bot or just a helpful virtual assistant, this is the service that makes those conversations happen.
And finally, we have Azure Machine Learning. You can think of this as the complete professional workshop. This is where you go when a pre-built cognitive service just isn't specific enough for your unique business problem, like, say, predicting customer churn using your own private data. This is where your data scientists can roll up their sleeves and get to work. It gives them the full environment to build, train, and deploy a completely custom AI model. You get maximum control, maximum flexibility. So, let's do a quick recap of our toolkit. We've got cognitive services for pre-built, ready-to-go AI. We've got OpenAI for creating new stuff, AI search for finding information, bot service for having conversations, and machine learning for when you need to build something totally custom from scratch. 5 powerful tools, each with a very clear job. All right, so you know what's in the toolbox, but knowing what the tools do is one thing. The real skill is knowing which one to pick for the job you're actually doing. This is where we go from theory to making some real decisions. Really, this all boils down to one fundamental choice. Do you need speed or do you need specificity? Using a pre-built model from Cognitive Services is like grabbing a part right off the shelf. It's super fast and it gets the job done. Building a custom model with Azure Machine Learning, on the other hand, is like fabricating that part yourself. Yeah, it's more work, but it's going to be tailored perfectly to solve your unique problem. Let's make this real with a scenario. Your boss walks over and says, "We need a chatbot on our website to handle customer questions, and we need it yesterday." You open up your Azure toolkit. So, which tool do you grab? This one's a no-brainer, right? For building a chatbot, you grab the tool that was literally designed for building chatbots, the Azure AI Bot Service. It is a perfect one-to-one match. No need to make things more complicated than they have to be. Okay, let's try a trickier one. Your company needs a new fraud detection model, but, and this is the important part, it has to be trained on your own highly specific private transaction data. A generic, off-the-shelf model just won't be accurate enough. So, what's the right tool for this job? Yep, you got it. This one requires the full workshop. You need Azure Machine Learning. The key takeaway here is pretty simple. Custom problems demand custom tools. This is where you need that fine-grained control to build and train a model that's tailored precisely to your data and your needs. All right, you've picked your tools, you've built your model. Awesome. But now what? I mean, your AI isn't doing much good if nobody can actually use it.
So let's talk about the next phase, getting your solution out of the blueprint stage and into the real world. We're going to look at 3 main paths to get it launched.
You basically have 3 distinct ways to deploy your solution, and each one is suited for a different situation. You can expose it through an API endpoint, which makes it easy to access from the cloud. You can package it up in a container, which makes sure it runs securely and consistently anywhere, or you can deploy it right onto an edge device for real-time processing right where the action is happening.
So let's break that down with some examples. If you're using a pre-built service like speech-to-text, an API endpoint is perfect. It's fast, it's simple, it scales easily. If you've built a custom fraud model for a bank, you're probably going to want to deploy that in a secure container. And for something like a smart security camera that needs to make decisions instantly, well, you deploy that model to the edge, right on the camera itself.
But wait, we're not done yet. Launching your application is not the finish line. In fact, you could argue one of the most critical stages is just getting started. Because with great power comes great responsibility, right? Building powerful AI demands a strong ethical framework and real human oversight. That's how you build a product people will actually trust.
To help guide you, Microsoft has laid out 6 core principles. They're all about making sure AI systems are fair and inclusive, that they are reliable, safe, private, and secure, and that there's always transparency and accountability built in. These aren't just nice suggestions, these are the pillars of trustworthy AI.
Let's just zoom in on one of these to see what it really means in practice. Fairness. The principle itself is simple, but it's also profound. It means your AI system absolutely must treat all people fairly. It can't be allowed to introduce, or even worse, amplify existing biases in our society. It has to be tested constantly to make sure it avoids any kind of discrimination.
This quote right here just makes it crystal clear. This isn't some abstract idea. If your fancy new AI hiring tool is biased against women because it was trained on historical hiring data that was itself biased, then that is a failure of the fairness principle. And guess what? It is your responsibility as the builder to find that bias and to correct the model. That's what accountability really looks like.
So, there you have it. We've gone all the way from a simple idea to a fully deployed, responsibly managed AI solution. We've seen the tools, we've talked about how to choose them, and we've covered how to use them ethically. The entire toolkit is right there, it's open, and it's waiting for you. So the only question left is, what are you going to build?